Martial Arts Industry Innovations. Presented by Martial Arts World News Magazine. Here, you'll get the latest news and information about the martial arts industry and discover the latest tools, tactics, innovations, business systems, teaching strategies, and much more to help you grow your school, career, or martial arts business. You'll also hear from some of the most successful school owners, innovators, instructors, industry influencers, and thought leaders in the world, sharing proven strategies and solutions to take your martial arts school or business to new heights. Join our mission at Martial Arts World News Magazine to raise the standards of martial arts business professionalism throughout the world.
Hey, welcome everybody. Master Toby Milroy here again, Vice President for AMS and publisher for Martial Arts World News Magazine. Thanks so much for everybody for joining us today. Thanks for taking this little bit of time out of your business to work on out of your day to work on your business, not just in your business. I think I say that every time, but I think it's pretty important. Today we're very, very fortunate and I'm very grateful to have a very special guest with us, Jessie Jessie Bowen. By way of quick introduction,
Welcome to Elite Publishing, where we offer full-service publishing solutions for independent authors. Our services include books, magazines, and audio, all of which are designed to have a global impact. We provide the resources you need to publish a best-selling book, including top-notch marketing, promotion, and distribution services. Our team carefully plans every step to maximize sales and make your book available to millions of readers worldwide. If you're ready to share your story with the world and leave a lasting legacy, schedule a time to speak with us. We can help you turn your dream into a reality and help you become a published author. Click the link to explore our publishing services.
Jessie, if you don't mind, Grandmaster Jessie Bowen is a 10th degree black belt. He's an author, life coach, minister, speaker, and corporate educator. We have a lot to talk about today. He's the founder of the American Martial Arts Alliance, which we're also going to talk a little bit about. He's the president of Elite Publications, which we're going to spend a lot of time talking about his publication business and how he's helping school operators, instructors, and martial artists of all types sort of build their personal brand through publishing. He's the founder of the American Martial Arts Alliance Foundation. We're going to talk a little bit about that today and the work that they're doing in scholarships for martial artists and non-martial artists alike. And he's published more than 40 books, and he's helped school operators and instructors in, a bunch of countries internationally become best-selling authors. So, Jessie, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We have a lot to talk about.
Hey, well, thank you for having me. Always love to get together with you, and we share the same theme as how do we make the world a better place.
Yeah, and it seems like we both always have a lot of stuff going on, so it's an interesting commonality. I like it. I don't know what I'd do. I'd be bored. So walk me through, if you don't mind. Let's start kind of at the beginning a little bit. For our audience who might not know you, or that might not be, maybe they don't read the magazine and then they haven't seen your columns, or maybe they haven't followed what you've been doing in the industry. Maybe if you wouldn't mind, just a quick thumbnail of sort of your martial arts background and how that led to operating a school and where you are now with all of that.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot. Well, I know. 5 minutes.
You spent almost 50 years in how to try to compress that. And those are 50 active years. So I've never been out of the martial arts in that 50-year period of time. I started my study, just like most people. I was tired of being picked on. I'm 21 years old, and I grew up as an only child. I was the weakling, and I got involved in martial arts because I didn't want to get picked on anymore. I didn't want to get beat up. I saw the Enter the Dragon where Bruce Lee threw all those guys around, and there was a person on my job that we didn't get along. So he was studying something called Taekwondo. I had no idea what that was, but I did watch Enter the Dragon, so I knew the outcome. And so I thought the school in the city, and was only one school that answered the telephone, and I'm so grateful. That was Karate International. We go back to business. That's why it's so important that you answer the telephone, because you never know You never know when someone's trying to reach you and you're not available, and they're going through that calling system, and they cannot get anyone, so they just find someone random, and they may not have the same outcome. But I started with Karate International, and after making black belt, I was a competitor in the martial arts, heavily involved in the competition, representing the school. And in 1980, I opened up my school. And, the thing that is interesting, or I would say that if you're going to open up a school, you need to have the right education. This was a franchise organization, and they wouldn't sell you a school unless you went through their training program and had at least an associate to a bachelor's degree in martial arts management. So when I opened up my school, I knew everything, how to run a business, and it started off successful. In 2 months, I was able to quit my day job and run the school full time. And I ran it for 38 years, and then I sold it a few years ago to pursue the publishing side.
Right.
At Duke University for 27 years. I started the Duke University martial arts program, and just a lot of other things that really happened during that period that I consider a blessing.
Yeah, I think what I wanted, I think you hit all the things I wanted to make sure we talked about. Like, if you look at sort of the spectrum of options available in a martial arts career, you really checked off a lot of boxes, right? So, obviously a student, we all started as students, and to a high level, sort of national level competitor, to tournament, both competing and operating and things like that, to operating a school, and then also successfully exiting the school, right? And a lot of folks in our space, they really sort of they can't get there, right? A lot of times they sort of get the school operating, and there's not a lot of value there for anybody else. There's valuable for them so far as like a business goes, but how does it live on? How does it live on beyond them? And you've sort of accomplished that, which I think is really kind of an interesting thing for people to take a look at. So now you're spending a lot of your time working with other school operators, with instructors and other masters of other types, helping them build their personal brand. And pursuing sort of a reputation tool, and frankly making some money selling books as being a published author. So how did you get started doing that? What was the beginning of that, the genesis of that idea?
Well, there's a couple of things that really required me to add products. I was involved in the public speaking arena. I was a coach and speaker for an organization called Silva Method, SILVA Method. It used to be called Silva Mind Control way back in the day. And so I'm speaking for them about visualization, mental performance training, and I needed to develop some products for that. But the first product I ever developed was a training manual for my martial arts school. Now, there's been a lot of change in the publishing. Back when I wrote my first book, it was actually just a manual. Digital cameras were just coming out, computers. Now, I don't even know if I think Microsoft was just coming around.
Yeah.
And we took the photographs and create the manual because I was tired having to teach the same class every day. So I created a manual that they could follow, and that manual, when I went to Duke actually accepted that manual as a part of their curriculum because I was teaching credit classes. And so that was the beginning of knowing a need and then creating a solution. So that was that first thing. Do you have a need, and how will a book be that solution? So, that book, I was at Duke for 28 years. That book sold privately to Duke and to my martial arts school. And it wasn't until about 8 or 9 years ago I published it into a binder book. And so other than that, I was printing it off my computer, off my printer. And so that's sort of how we got started, was because I had a need. That was my class. And then I started doing seminars on personal development training. And then we started doing books on personal development training, back of the room sales. So I think of when someone has a book idea, then it's three things they should think about. Number one is, what do I want my book to do? Is it a bucket list? Do I want it to do something for me? Or do I have a story, or do I have information that I can monetize? Books. Now, the third one is the most difficult because you have to invest in the marketing of that book so that a lot of people can touch it.
Yeah. So, and by the way, so for anyone who might not have the background, I had also published I published a little trade publication back in the Midwest in 90. I think I started in 89 or 90. And publishing at the time you're talking about was literally, this is where cut and paste came from. You would literally cut out the picture and you would paste it onto a blank. And then you'd take essentially a photo. A camera would take a photo of it to print it on a press, right? It was just a nightmare. I can't. As easy as it is today, it's unbelievable, like what we had to go through in the time. So, okay, so we've got different purposes, right? Obviously, just like we were all taught by Steve Covey, begin with the end in mind, right? What's the objective of the book? What is its purpose? What's it trying to do? And by the way, a quick little tangent for anybody watching, the folks who have logged in, we've got quite a few on Facebook and quite a few on YouTube here. You can also, if you have any questions or any comments that you have, we do have a little live chat running too. So we'll keep our eye on that. Any questions or feedback or anything like that you might want to ask or get clarification on, just feel free to pop a little comment in the chat area, and we'll take a look at that too. But so walk us through then those purposes. It's, what's the purpose of the book? Do I have a story to tell? Do I have information that's valuable to other people, right? So walk me through how you're working with school operators and instructors in those arenas. Where do you start there?
Well, we start with like I said, with the end in mind. And so where am I in the competitive scene of my martial arts in my city? If everyone is doing the same thing, then it's probably pretty even. But if I create something that builds my reputation and brand, because the average parent, when they come in and they're looking for a martial arts school, they're going down the list of schools, and unless you have a great ad or something that catches their eye, but when they look at your credentials, what have you done?
Sure.
Nobody really cares anymore about how many trophies you won. They want to know, can you check the boxes on what I'm looking for myself, my child, or my family? That's what they're looking for. So a book, when they see that you're an author and your book is up on that page, they say, well, let me check you out. When you walk into martial arts school and there's a banner that talks about your book, that you're an author, they sit down at your desk to come in for the intro, and you show them your book and say, no, this was written by, Grandmaster Bowen, his book. We want to get him to sign a copy and give it to you. You're building relationship. So you're upping the opportunity for that person to consider your school. So, yeah. Excuse me.
Well, I was just going to underscore. So one purpose, if we're beginning with the end in mind, one purpose is obviously a credibility tool for folks who are coming in, right? So you've got somebody who walks in the front door. They're there for an intro. They've got the family, whatever the case might be. Here's one example, right? Now you've got a credibility tool. You're literally, I think I've said this before. I think we may have actually talked about it before too. But even in today's world, right? I guess here's the question. The question is, why publish? Why write a book? Like, that's the question, right? I have one answer, but let me hear your answer. So where would you go with that? Why would someone want to consider this?
Well, I think if you have a message, a book is the best way to get it out. We all have a story. So your book, what do you write? The question is, what do you write on? So, we have authors that write memoirs. We have authors that write motivational books, biography books. You can write on anything that you want to write on. The question is, how do I use a book in my business?
Yeah.
If I want to do a book and I'm teaching children, then I want to write a book that talks about discipline for children. What did Hanshi say about raising your children? It can be, what's your focus? What are you good at? I write on everything I do. So, I bowl. So I have a bowling book. I'm a minister, so I have Christian books. I'm doing whatever you are doing that you're focused on, you can write and become an expert in that field, because that's what a book does. It's like your giant business card that you can now give to parents when they, as we said, when they come in. Or if you write a book, you can do a book signing party and you tell your students, I want you to bring your friends in and I'm going to give you a signed copy of my book and I'm going to take you to my pizza party. So think about that 10 students come in, they join your school because of your book, and you're charging at least $100 a day. $100 a month for your martial arts. So you figure, that's 10 students join, that's what, $1,200. So now you multiply that by 10. So now you got $12,000 to $15,000 that came in on your book signing. So it's not always how many books I sell, it's what revenue will my books create because I create the book.
Yeah. In fact, I would argue that's the highest value anyway, right? Like, how much are you going to make on a $20 or $30 book out the door? I mean, if you're getting a 50% override from, let's say, Amazon or something like that, so you make 15 or 16 bucks or something like that. But really, it's about getting the $5,000 new student in the front door, or it's about the $13 or $14 or $18,000 upgrade or renewal. Right.
That's right.
So that's exactly right. So I think my comment on it for a long time has been, even in today's digital world, right? Even in today's modern world, in fact, it might even be more so now than before. But being the person who literally wrote the book on a topic is the most powerful credibility tool that there is. People are having a website is useful, but everybody has a damn website now. Right? Having a, Facebook profile is useful, but everybody has anybody can get one of those, right? But there's still a lot of, je ne sais quoi. I don't know. Like there's still a lot of credibility inherently built into being a published author, being the person who wrote the book on a given topic, right? So if you need an edge to push somebody over the edge on making the decision to enroll with you or not, what a great tool that is, right? I think it's also a great tool for relationships in the community, and I think we'll get to that. But let's stay on this trail for a second. So why publish? There's some answers to that, right? So you're looking at what is the purpose of this thing? How do you want to utilize this thing, right? You've been able to get, in addition to enrollment goals, you've been able to get a bunch of folks to actually tip the scales to becoming a best-selling author as well. So walk me through what that sounds like, what that looks like, and you've got some shortcuts on that, but talk me through that whole process.
Okay, and while we're on and we have people online, you can go to my website and check it out, and that is www.elitepublications.org. www.elitepublications.org. Okay, so how do you become an international best-selling author? Well, number one, you got to have a good product. That's number one. Number two, you need to have a marketing plan. You need to have a good social community. And, what Amazon does is that when you launch your book, let's say just like their Kindle, there's over 4,000 books that launch every day on Amazon Kindle. And if you don't have a right marketing plan, they all go to the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what we've created is a system that we can guarantee our authors that we can launch their book in the top 100 books on Amazon through our marketing plan. And so when you combine your social media, your family, your paid marketing, so there's a lot of things that really go in there. So there's not just one thing, but you got to know your keywords, you got to know your categories. So, and then someone has to stay on top of it. So next week we have our second edition of Elite Martial Artists in America. Last year, that book launched, which was truly our best-selling book. It became international bestseller in something like 73 different categories online. And this was, the book actually became international bestseller in Canada, UK, France. So there were several, countries that book, since it was so unique, and that was a compilation book. So there's a lot of different styles of books, but becoming an international bestseller really takes a lot of really focused time, and that you really pay attention to the marketing side. And it's not just put up a Facebook ad. There's a lot of other things that go into that. But what does that mean? That number one, I'm selling books, but that brand. So I'm an author. That elevates you up to being an expert. Now I'm an international best-selling author. That moves you to another level. Now, we'll take an example of that particular book we did last year, which is going to be the second edition coming out in about another week. But I sent a copy of that to several companies for speaking. So I do corporate training too. So I sent them a copy of my book, and they responded back, and I was invited to New York City to speak for American Express. Now, if I hadn't sent that book, they may not have never called me. I had done work for them before, but that book said, yeah, we remember Jesse. He's got a book out. And it had my photograph on the cover. And so they called me back and did a training program. And then I did another training program for Nike. So, I've been fortunate that I'm working with real Fortune 500 companies, but I'm a 10th degree black belt. I have a system that teaches personal development training, not karate. Now I have a book that's more like a philosophy book. So, so I have a full package for what they want to pay for.
Yeah, so exactly. So I think there's a pretty big spectrum here on the why, right? Why does somebody want to do this, right? Obviously, a new enrollment coming in, a new family coming in, it's an impressive thing, right? It's an impressive thing that they have a chance now to enroll in a school where, Jessie Bowen is the person who literally wrote the book on character education, character development for kids and families, or, the parenting, guidelines or whatever it might be. You also have, obviously, an upgrade or a renewal motive, right, or method. So now you've got maybe books on leadership or a topic that runs parallel with what your higher level program looks like. And then now you've mentioned third, now is what about the rest of the community, right? So you've got corporate opportunities here. Everybody in your town, if you look around your city, there are probably some large employers there, or some government offices, or municipality, utility type things, whatever, right? There's relatively large infrastructure here or there. That might be a really useful opportunity. So you've got, marketing opportunity, right? To go one to many, how do I now get in front of an entire elementary school or an entire district? Or maybe it's a corporation in town or something like this, right? Does that sound right? Are there other angles there that we should be considering, do you think?
Well, you mentioned schools. So think about it for a second. I write a book, and I want to create relationships with teachers. And maybe I've written a book on positive thinking for kids. Now, every kid that's in my school, I now give them a signed copy, says, take this to your teacher, and I write my telephone number in there. So every time that teacher has a child and that person needs some help, and they look at me as being an expert because I wrote the book on positive thinking for children.
Yeah.
You know, so now my school stands out because of what we actually do. I take the book, I go now and I place it in a doctor's office. I go there, I have a doctor, I have a dentist, you know, I sign a copy, I put my business card in there and say, listen, this is my new martial arts book on getting fit. And, you know, whatever that topic you want to write on. And I give it to them and they put the book out. So as people are sitting there and they see a book on martial arts, which is now Curiosity. So now they go over, pick it up. My telephone number's in the book. They could go on, and if they're reading it, but it says, do not remove it from this building. You know, but now they scan my QR code. They go on Amazon, they buy my book because they want to finish reading it. Okay, but now in my book, I say, come in for a free introductory class. So my book is in the dentist's office, hair salons, car repair, any place that people will sit. And I build those relationships, and then I have the other stores that will put my books in as a commission sale. So that the evolution of the book marketing and selling is going on, and I don't have to work. If I have to work for my money, that's a job. But if I got money that comes to me while I sleep, that's making money.
Yeah. Good call. So obviously, so there's some things too to consider. I think you said a couple things in there that were kind of subtle. That I'd like to underscore. Obviously, when you're looking at community outreach marketing, when you're looking at business-to-business marketing, we all know martial art. All of us who run, you know, at least moderately successful martial arts schools, we all identify pretty quickly and pretty easily that other businesses who share the customer base, right? Like you said, the hair salon, the Starbucks coffee, the wherever it is, anywhere that serves the same customer, especially where that customer lingers for a while, is a pretty big opportunity for us to get in front of them, right? And I know some of our brethren out there who are maybe a little less confident maybe in themselves, and maybe they're a little less self-promotional, or they think that they want to be a little less self-promotional. They might hesitate to go in and try to get a chiropractor or a dentist to put their flyer up, or to put their rack cards at the front desk, or something like this. You shouldn't be, but maybe they're a little timid, right? So maybe this is a better entry point, right? Maybe this is an easier entry point for you. You can just donate a few books, right, to the local dentist or the orthodontist or whatever the case might be. And hey, it looks like you might need some extra waiting room material here. If you wouldn't mind, here are a few copies of my book, and you can put them out here, no problem. And I appreciate that kind of a thing, right? You also mentioned something that's kind of a nuance that I want to underscore here, and maybe you can expand on it. Remember that, as you described, the purpose is the beginning. Everything in the book is designed to accomplish the purpose, right? So if my purpose is promoting my martial arts school, then you'll find things in a book that you might not find in a book otherwise, right? So like you said, big QR codes with offers and drives to do your product, right, to enroll, things like this are pretty important, right? You don't want to leave that to chance. So what other little like mechanisms do you think that you guys use, or that do you think are particularly useful for people who want to create opportunity beyond just the pass through of the book? Anything that springs to mind?
Well, I think, like I said, with the book, the QR codes, the different, marketing packages that you can actually bring to the book. I was just thinking just a few moments ago, we were talking, and one of the key things that your book can actually do is to influence not just teachers, but who's our competitors. it's other sports.
Sure. Yeah.
So what if I now start teaching the local football program? So on their off seasons, those guys can come in. So the book, I give it to a coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I, again, is starting writing my book on physical performance.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, someone may say, well, I don't have that type of knowledge. Listen, go take an online class. Like I said, I work with the Duke football program, their basketball program. I work with UNC Chapel Hill, their football program. I was the martial arts coach for 5 years under Mac Brown. But all these things of credibility factors made it possible for me to be able to do that. Just like, you have a university in your town. If you are now, and you say, well, I want to work on the mental performance of football, of sports. I'm also a certified sports hypnosis coach. So I work a lot on the mental game. So you continue to educate yourself, and then you're able to become more specific. And we help you to look at some of these things. So when you set up an interview with us, so if someone would like to set up an interview, they can do that. Go to our website, click on the contact, and we brainstorm with you. What's your power?
Yeah.
What's your superpower that you have, and how many ways can we utilize your superpower by being a published author? And, we look at the doorway that it opens to, to other opportunities. I have a column, in your magazine and several other magazines. But, I write about mental performance training, the mindset. We write about the book publishing. So that constantly elevates us. So it's not just one dimension. It can do a lot of different things to open the doors of opportunity to, expand, because, thousands of people see my articles in your magazine. So, that's another big plus.
Yeah, look, so I think you're touching on something here that's, oh, hey, Deja's here. Looks like Justin Fairletech is here. Hey, guys, good to see you all. Remember, if you do have any questions or comments, feel free to pop a little comment in the chat area. So you're touching on a couple things here I think that are particularly useful, and I know you guys do a pretty good job of this, and it's sometimes unintuitive, so let me underscore it. I think all of us, we have this sort of humility streak that we, in some cases, it's a little too thick, right? It might be a little too wide sometimes. You guys do a really good job, and this is an important thing for you to do for the school operator or for the martial artist, is sometimes we don't consider ourselves experts in what we're doing all the time, right? Like we have skill sets, we've developed skills over the years that we don't even notice anymore, right? And there's a little bit of an imposter syndrome in all of us, right? We all are like, well, why would they listen to me, right? So let me just give you a quick example, because you mentioned it, and I think it's really, really useful. One of the first books that I did in the martial arts space was I was going to all these local elementary schools trying to do cooperative deals. And I kept meeting with physical education teachers. And I noticed I would always, pay attention to their bookshelf, right? I was always looking back there because I was trying to find something we'd have in common to talk about, right? And in at least 3 or 4 of these scenarios, I saw this book called Mind Gym. And I'm like, Mind Gym? I keep seeing this Mind Gym thing. What is this Mind Gym thing? And it was about this new neuroscience, about cross-meridian training and all these different things that cross the center line and all this sort of high-level neuroscience, right? So I went and bought a copy. I went and ordered a copy, and I looked at it. And I'm like, well, this is certainly well beyond my level of education, right? Certainly well beyond, I'm not a neuroscientist. But I did I plucked out of the middle of it an interesting concept that we're really good at in martial arts, which is taking complicated fine motor skill, complicated gross motor skills, and breaking them down into small component parts and building really fun exercises and drills and ways to practice those that aren't boring, right? So the first thing I wrote was how to take a complicated topic like a 47 move long form or whatever it was and break it down and make fun little exercises and tell little stories to help stimulate memory, like peg memory type mnemonics and things like this. And the teachers loved it. It was fantastic. They still use it to this day, right? So I guess what I'm underscoring here is don't discount the skills you already have as a seasoned professional martial arts instructor, right? You have skill sets that are incredibly valuable to other people, and what you guys do is kind of pull that out, right? What other angles have you seen that I might want to be considerate of if I'm an operator or an instructor? What other angles have you seen that have worked well?
Well, that's like we've covered a lot of those ways, but when you look at your book and you want to really know that you have the confidence. And, we'll go back to what we talk about martial artists, because we're taught to be secretive. You don't know I'm a martial artist. I don't tell you. I don't. And the greatest, if I talk about myself, that is my ego. But when my students and my parents talk about me, I'm a legend.
Right.
Because when I now write a book, and all my parents, they have a copy, I give them a copy whether or not they pay for it or not. And now they give me back reviews. So again, that's what you want. If you go to your website and you got 5 reviews and Johnny has 300 reviews and they're all 90% positive, then I want to go look at Johnny's school.
Yeah.
Because, he has all these reviews. That's why I would give all my parents a copy of the book. Go and give me a positive review. I would always tell them, give me a positive review, and so again, just the power of having someone else to talk about you.
Yeah.
And your story, your story, if I tell my story about being picked on, parents that are dealing with that, they can connect with that. And so your story, how do you get people to connect with your story? And what's the value? Is it worth $50? Is it worth $500? Or is it worth $50,000?
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about. If I wrote a book, how much revenue, additional revenue would come in because I wrote the book? So that's what you really want to think about, is that my book is now my brand. So through a book, I'm starting to brand myself.
Yeah, there's, in addition to credibility, you just mentioned another factor here, which is, I guess let's for now just call it relationship or connection, right? When you read somebody's book, even if it's just a couple of pages or a few pages or something, you really do get some insight into that person. I mean, one of our team members here is a younger guy. He's just discovered Isaacson, right? And he's now reading, I think the one he did on Musk. I think Musk's bio, Isaacson's Musk bio. And I had gifted them, he wasn't here at the time, a couple of Christmases ago, all the Jobs bios, right? Because Isaacson's a pretty good writer. But one of the things I noticed even in myself is I've read books from even political figures that I don't agree with, right? I've read books from former presidents, former first ladies, former whatever, that I don't agree with a lot of their policies and a lot of the way they see the world. But since I read it, I feel like I have more connection with that person, more insight, more, I have a much more favorable opinion because I see a larger dimension, right? And I think that's what you're describing too is, what is the level of connection that you have with your families? What is that level of connection? And it's usually pretty good because they see you quite a bit in the class, but does this help make it even deeper and wider, right? And I think unequivocally the answer is yes. And getting a chance to kind of get inside your head a little bit and see what's going on in there, I think is really useful. And what are they going to say about you now, right? Are they more or less likely to leave you 5-star reviews? Are they more or less likely to be, happier clients than not, right? I think it's an interesting point to underscore, right? Like there's something going on there, especially if your story is, well, I mean, most of us have a story that, we can't, there's some challenges somewhere, right? And they can certainly identify that with their students.
Well, and something else, if someone was interested in writing a book, but they said, well, I don't have the funds to write the book, because yes, it does cost you to write a book. So they could do something as simple as partnering with someone. They could be in a compilation book. And this book that we have coming out in a couple of weeks is called Elite Martial Artists in America. And it's on Amazon. We haven't launched it till next week, but it's on Amazon. It's called Elite Martial Artists in America. There's volume 1 and volume 2. We have, I think there's 28 authors in that book, and they all wrote a chapter. And it's called The Secrets to Life, The Secrets to Leadership, and The Secrets to Business. So these 28 authors have their own insight and their own successes. So they wrote about it to share with others. So this was a great book. It's not a karate book or martial arts book. It's really about, it's more of a philosophy type book. So you could do something like that. And you could even, depending on the program, I know we are customizing the pages and putting their picture on the book.
Yeah.
So that it's more personalized to them. But it's only a fraction of the cost, because now I've got a chapter in the book, but I've got 29 or 28 other authors. And the sort of what I call the foundation authors, we have Art Camacho is one of the authors. We have Joe Corley, Jeff Smith, several other people well known are in the book. Stephen Hayes are co-authors in the book. And so it's really a great book.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a great concept. I've done that with clients in the past as well. And I can imagine a model also where, if I think about it, I can imagine a concept where maybe I take my instructors in my school and maybe I write 5-6 chapters, and I have each one of them pick a subject, confidence, focus, self-esteem, whatever it might be. And maybe we help them write a chapter or two, and then sort of make a compendium that helps to, lend credibility to the entire staff. I think that's interesting. That's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, interesting enough.
And that's the easy button. Especially if I had several schools, or if I had key black belts that did a lot of things.
Yeah.
And because and they're not running a school every day, they're involved in companies and businesses, and they do, so they can loan a lot of credibility, and then your whole team stands out. And our company, Elite Publications, we're becoming an easy button, because you don't have to worry about the formatting. You don't have to worry about the editing, all those things which are critical, cover design. We do all of those things, your bestseller launch. So, I love that idea. I'm going to go back and work on that one.
Well, no, it's interesting. And you just mentioned too, I don't know why it didn't dawn on me before, but I know I had always, in my books, I'd always included a couple of, some testimonials, right? And usually in the beginning, at the end, but it just occurred to me that, it could certainly be a compendium of stories from your successful black belts as testimonials, right? They are testimonials, but they're chapters. So that's interesting. That literally becomes a testimonial book, but they're stories. They're where they started and what they went through and the challenges they had and how they overcame them. And obviously a lot of that's going to be how your program helped them overcome it. So I like that a lot. I like that concept a lot. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. And that's what you're looking for, is when someone comes in and they're trying out your martial arts program.
Yeah.
And they don't understand, but when they come in that introductory program, I just include that free book. I would sign it, relationship building.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then you got the testimonials that back that up. So now when you create that concept, just think about over, let's say 10 years. So it's not a one-time product and you throw it away. For the next 10 years, you use that same book with no change. And you're paying, $6-7 for a book, but it's actually influencing, thousands of dollars for you because of the relationship building power.
Yeah, in fact, I just literally, it's crazy that we're talking today, but I have a good friend. You may recognize Charles Dudley. He's a school operator in Texas. Really, really super nice guy. Like one of the nicest humans on the planet. He's got a couple locations in San Antonio, and we worked together many years ago on a book called The Path to Leadership, and we built it basically to help school operators with their leadership program sales, right? With helping enroll people in their high level program. And we had a series of school operators, seasoned black belt instructors who each wrote a chapter or two each. And I think I wrote 5 or 6 introductory chapters, positioning them as a trusted expert in the field, in the area that we're discussing. And he literally just emailed me like 2 days ago looking to order some more copies of it because he hands it out to all the people that, that enroll to get them pre-framed for the upgrade, get them pre-framed for leadership, right? So, and now we got to figure out how to go get them printed again. So I had to figure out all that stuff. But
we can take care of your problem.
Yeah, that's right. I got to do. So actually I want to get back to that too. Let's also go here too, but here's one of your compendiums just of recent, the Who's Who in the Martial Arts book. And this is, I don't know, what is this, like 400 pages? I don't know, like 350 pages or something like that. And this is sort of a compendium similar to what you're talking about, but this features, martial arts instructors from all over the world. So walk me through how this works, the structure behind that, and what the mission is here. Very cool, by the way.
We started actually in 2015, and it was with this book, Who's Who in the Martial Arts. And there was never scheduled to be a second book. There was no, it was just a tribute to my martial arts instructor for all he had done for me and helped me. And I wanted, his partner had passed away, and I wanted to do something of gathering some of his closest people together and creating a booklet because, we were already doing the Sport Karate Hall of Fame and tournaments and stuff. So I just held an event, created the book, and it just moved from there. We had Joe Corley said in 2016, why don't we do another book? I'm in the Battle of Atlanta. Let's do a book that embraces that. And so we did the Cynthia Rothrock book, and this 2016 book is when it hit me that bringing people together and to share their legacy was important. So we did the Who's Who book. I guess there was 150 people in there, and that turned out to be successful. And said, well, we won't do another one. Then the next year said, well, let's honor Grandmaster Joan Rhee. So we did another book honoring Grandmaster Rhee and Bill Clark, Bill Wallace, Joe Corley, and it was in DC with Dennis Brown. And then it grew to, that's when I knew I had to make a decision. Was I going to continue to teach karate every day, or was I going to go into the publishing business? So it was pretty easy. The decision was I would go into the publishing business. So I sold my school, I sold my home, and I got married, and I moved to Eastern North Carolina. But every book has been great. The greatest book that we've written is a Chuck Norris book. Now, of course, you would imagine it would be because it is
Chuck,
Grandmaster Norris.
Yeah.
And I think we have something, that book's like 500 some pages. But it was about people telling their story.
Yeah.
So we are now sort of the ancestry of martial arts, because we don't just tell the stories, we archive these stories, and we're constantly building new ways to tell the story.
Yeah.
It's no longer, the Who's Who books were, I'm not going to call it an attitude book or the big head book, but it was all about a lot of champions.
Yeah, sure.
And it was great to know that. But what I realized was that we needed something different for the martial art. We needed a book that would tell, why did I study the martial arts? I'm a black belt. Why did I start martial arts? So we did the Masters and Pioneers books, three in each series. And then we came to the next evolution was, how does martial arts change lives? So we did the Ernie Reyes book was the first one. And the whole subject was, how did the martial arts change my life? And so now we're getting ready to go into the fourth series, and that series is about legacy. We've all moved to these places in our lives. So what is it that we have? We have legacy. That's where I am now. I'm leaving my legacy. So these books are called the legacy books. So the impact of starting with one book that never was designed to be a second book.
Yeah.
Now we're an international publishing company, and we're publishing people all over the world. So take a positive start, and it will impact your life. And that's sort of what we've done.
Yeah, that's what occurred to me, when I saw you guys were working on this project. The thing that occurred to me most is that there are so many, really fabulous martial artists out there, really fabulous martial arts instructors, masters, school owners. And I mean, one of the challenges we have in our industry is what happens in the next generation, right? One of the challenges is that, sometimes I operate a school for 30 or 40 years and I leave and the thing, collapses or whatever the case is. What do I pass on? Like, what is this legacy I'm leaving? Sometimes with lack of systemization or whatever the case is, it becomes a problem. But one of the elements of it that I always thought was tragic is, think about you and I, all of us, all these wonderful, like, we remember Ed Parker, we remember June Rhee, we remember, these folks. But what about people? But who remembered Ken Rollins from Orlando? He was a marvelous instructor, but nobody's going to remember him. He didn't leave like a trail. He left students, but he didn't leave a manual I could follow. He didn't leave, he didn't leave something behind that really, other people could learn about this guy, or other people could learn about these masterful instructors. So I think that's really a cool thing, to be able to give operators and instructors like an easy button, a tool to be able to do that and have something to leave past. On a personal note, by the way, I lost my mom about a year ago. In fact, a year and a week ago. And in the last couple days there, one of the things that she wanted to see a lot was that first book that I did, right? And she had it on her shelf 60, whatever, I guess 40 years or 35 years or whatever, but that she was so proud of that, you know what I mean? And I think your students are going to feel the same way. The people who you're connected with feel the same way about that. They feel that way about you. You just may not know it yet, right? So give them something that they can, pass on and have on their bookshelf and remember this, I think it's pretty important. Talk to me a little bit too about, you have a couple of other projects going on that sort of help to support, let me rewind. Becoming the best-selling author, like you said, is an algorithm problem. Everybody launches on the same day. You're competing with all of those guys to be on the top of the list. So you've built a whole framework to help support that, including things like this Metaverse Museum and things like this Roku channel and a bunch of these other things that help get people sales, get people views, get people reviews, to help make sure that they're at the top of that list. Walk me through a couple of these elements. Walk me through the Metaverse Museum and walk me through the Roku channel.
Okay. Well, we started the, Metaverse Museum. I don't have my glasses here, but the Metaverse, you have the Oculus glasses.
Yep.
You can actually interact in the museum with the glasses on, and you can actually walk around, but you don't need that. You can enter the museum from your computer. You can enter the museum from your cell phone. And that website for learning more about it is who's who in the martialarts.com/, Who's Who Museum. And if you go to the Who's Who in the Martial Arts website, there's a link in the menu that you can click on, will take you there. Now, the museum is only for people that we have featured in the book. So it's the next level of helping them to be able to brand themselves more. So now you're featured in the book. So now you have your portrait in the museum. By the way, we have you in there too, sir. I don't know if you've been there yet or not.
I'm going to have to check it out. I appreciate that. I'm going to have to check that out. Sounds interesting.
But what it does is, everybody wants to play games. So now you can enter, it's sort of like a game, but you have these portraits. You can go in and click on a portrait, and it opens up to your bio, your profile. There's a video library in there. There's a photo library in there. It's everything you would expect to be in a museum that people can learn about you. But it's online, and anyone, any part of the world can enter, and it's free. They can interact in there, but it's just like you can sell products in there. You can, with the website has your web store. You can write articles and blog posts. You can put videos in there. So it goes to our e-directory. And so there's a listing of martial arts schools across the country. So it's really super interactive. And we can have up to 50 people in the museum at one time. And then the museum, it duplicates itself, so it can have up to 100 people. They can have audio communication as well as text communication. So it is super interactive. In fact, we have set up that the Cynthia Rothrock movie, her birthday was this week, but the movie is actually playing in the metaverse.
Interesting. By the way, for anybody watching, I've just dropped all those links in the chat area. Well, in fact, you might even be able to see them here, to tell you the truth. Yeah. I've just dropped all those links in the chat area, so you can just go right over there and click and get over there. I did Who's Who, I did the museum one, and I also did the Elite Publications group. So any of those you can kind of just get quick access to. We have about 300-ish or so people on kind of watching, so that maybe they can pop off and on and go over there when we're done. You've also constructed the AMAA Foundation that's providing scholarships now. Maybe give me a quick outline on what that's all about.
Well, our approach was to build an organization that was different. I mean, what makes your brand unique is that you do something different. It can be very similar. So, we are a nonprofit organization, and we are, so our status is educational. And then we have the institute that we built, so the American Martial Arts Alliance Institute. That's our teaching side. So we actually have online courses for publishing. So you can take one of our online courses set up that you can write and publish a book in 30 days, just by following the online courses that we have. We have, meditation courses, certification. So we have a lot of things that we do on the education side. So the foundation is to, we look at two projects we have going right now, coming up in a couple months, is that we started the Cynthia Rothrock scholarship program. That program is designed to give financial support to high school students for girls, is primarily girls that's competing in sport karate. So that's sort of what we're doing. That's the Cynthia Rothrock Scholarship Fund. Cynthia has endorsed that. And then we have the Future Leaders Scholarship Fund. This Future Leaders Scholarship Fund is for, anyone. We first look at people that are members of our organization before we write checks out. So we take care of our own first. So so if they're a high school student graduating, so right now our goal is to have $10,000 in scholarship money, and we're pretty close to that we've actually will use to $5,000 for the future leaders and $5,000 for the Cynthia Rothrock, fund. But we're doing something, and that's what we want to do is the organization that we do something. I don't talk about anything. By the time I've talked about it, I've actually already done it.
Yeah.
You got to be an action player.
Wasn't that a Henry Ford line? You can't build a reputation on what you're going to do. Is that?
That's right.
I think that was Henry Ford.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, well, very good. Well, again, I've dropped all the links in there as well, and there's a few folks that I've tagged here just a minute ago that left us some comments. So maybe let's kind of close on this. So if I'm a school operator, an instructor, a black belt, master of basically any type, and I feel like maybe I have a story here, I'm not quite sure. You know what I mean? Obviously, the first action step is to come and go to Elite Publications, fill the form out, see what start from there. But maybe just walk me through how you would frame the process. Like, what does that look like? How many hours is it going to take me to do something like this? Like, what are the rough logistics to give me a sense of how easy is the easy button?
Well, the first thing that I try to do is when someone comes in and they've got a desire to write a book, is to sort of find out where's your passion.
Sure.
And it doesn't matter. I write Christian, motivational, mind, body, sports performance. It doesn't matter what you want to write on. Is finding out your objectives. Yes, is it a bucket list? Is it something that I want to do for me? So if I write a book, then it doesn't matter how many books I sell, but it matters how many people are the influences that will take my service.
Right.
So I'm not worried about, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, how many books are selling, because I have another purpose. And that other one is that I really believe I have something that's really powerful that I want a lot of people to read. So we find that out first. And then we sit down and then we begin to pull it together that you're confident at it. And then first thing I do is start marketing an idea. So, I don't wait to publish a book. I start from day one of the idea is to build a website, begin to market your idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can now change it, modify it based upon the way that people are responding to it. But, so you start there finding your easy button and you build the expectation. Your iPhone, new iPhone comes out. What do? They start marketing, and then you have a line of people standing around the building waiting for the front door to open so you can get your hands on the iPhone.
Yeah.
You've already probably pre-ordered that iPhone, so you're waiting to get your hands on it. So we start building by marketing the idea, the concept. And someone might say, well, I'm not a good writer. Don't worry about that. Because if you believe in your story, listen, all I need is my cell phone. I sit down and send myself an email. I write the chapter, I close my eyes, I just begin to have a conversation. And then I email myself that character. Yeah. I don't do the spell check, and I just email it.
Yeah.
And then by the time I've done that, I send it to someone else to do the edit work, because I'm not going to do the edit work. I send it to someone else so they can dress it up and change things around. So by doing that, you have quickly be able to write your book. Or you can, again, text it, and then you just email that to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And you say, well, I'm not good at technology. Then we set up a Zoom meeting, and I sit down with you, and I give you some questions, and we talk about it, and we create the transcript, and we now bring that into your book.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about your inability to write, but if you believe in your story, then everything else I can make work for you.
Yeah. You got where I wanted you to get, which is the objection I would have, the fear, the reason most people don't take this kind of a project on is, oh my God, it's, they've listened to, authors over the years that, have the horror story of the blank white page staring through your soul, right? And it is intimidating, believe me, to stare at a blank white page. I do a magazine a couple times, 6 times a year, 100 and something pages. And I know what a blank white page, I know how tough that adversary is. But what you're describing is it's already in you somewhere. It's already there. What you guys are good at is figuring out how to pull it out. And you can pull it out in a way that's actually pretty easy. Once you have the model, you've got the I don't want to say an outline, but you have a process, right? You sort of know the right questions to ask, the right order to put them in, what's important, what isn't important, and you can pull that out pretty quickly. So then it's just, after that, it's perfunctory. After that, it's editorial, editing, assembling it, right? And you got your people deal with all that. So I think that's pretty important for people to get, that it's not a 150-hour commitment. It's more like a few hours, and you got pretty much everything you need. Right.
And then we can, then you have ghostwriting. Yep. In other words, I don't have time to write a book, but I need a book on this subject.
Yeah.
So, we have teams all over the country. So I don't do this. People say, well, this guy, he's got a lot on his plate. No. I have experts. I have experts that I don't do the graphics. I have experts that do the graphics, So we have a team of people that do it. That we now can take your information, and now we can make it to the point that it look you didn't write it, and one of our ghostwriters put this together for you, and we work on building the marketing thing. So there's not an excuse. If you don't want to write it, but you believe you desire to have a book, get a ghostwriter. If you decide you want to write a book and you don't know where to start, call us and we lay out a plan for you. We make it really, very simple. Join our compilation books. You can sign up. We have the registration starting in a few weeks for the 2025 Elite Martial Arts in America. Sign up for a compilation book.
Yeah. Easy. Yeah. Which, by the way, don't be afraid of ghostwriters. That's almost all the politicians and celebrities you see writing a book didn't sit down behind a typewriter. Right, the ghostwriting community is pretty robust, so they can do a great job if directed appropriately.
And one thing we didn't touch on was just magazines. We got involved in the magazines.
That's right.
And we have the Martial Arts Extraordinaire magazine.
I see it.
And so that's really powerful when you can be featured in a magazine. And so we are working on a program now that will be how do you build a marketing program directly for your community. You got the famous magazines that go all over the country, but they probably don't benefit you. So you have now the personal magazine that's customized for your community with your articles, you're on the cover. So, we're working on, we've already launched that, which is already helping martial arts schools to increase their enrollments, increasing their brands by using magazine marketing. So you can, check out Elite Publications. There's a link in there when you do the contact, check if you want to know more about our magazine marketing program.
Yeah, totally. I just went to the site. I've got that link in the comment area. So just check out the comments. I'll put it in the description after we're done today, and you should be able to have you'll have the links to all these resources. So very cool, very cool. Well, I got to tell you, this has been pretty helpful. I think I have said it many times, but probably the most impactful device is being a published author for credibility's purposes, right? I guess maybe if you go get an award from the president or something, maybe. But second to that, it's being the man, the person, the woman who wrote the book on insert topic here, right? Insert topic that serves your purposes here. And so what you guys are doing, I think is really valuable and really useful for school operators, for instructors. Your instructors probably should be authors too. All of them should be. So think about that, right? Think about what type of a market differentiator that will be, what kind of an enrollment and a renewal sort of stimulator that is, right? Who is going to argue with the guy who wrote the book on self-discipline? That's pretty tough. You know what I mean? That's pretty tough. you know? So I think it's like super valuable. A couple fun questions. Do you have a minute?
Sure.
A couple fun questions just before we close off. Other than the books that you've done, other than the books that you've done for operators, what's one of the best books you've read in the last couple of years? I'm always looking for good book recommendations.
Well, my repeated read book is Think and Grow Rich.
Oh yeah, Napoleon Hill. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, now I am right. I am reading the best book in the world right now.
Yeah.
The Bible.
Oh well. I think
I have made a commitment this year that I'm reading from cover to cover.
Yeah.
Not just because I'm a minister, but I'm doing it because, I want to have a better understanding. And that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
I'm in the ministry now, and I don't want to just jump up and shout and get spiritually involved. I want to help people to understand. You see, you can read something, but you don't understand it. So I'm reading. So every day I've got a chapter, 2 chapters that I read. So that's a part of my daily devotion is actually reading. But my go-to book is Think and Grow Rich. I've read that book so many times. I love Brian Tracy stuff. I try to get myself around motivating things.
Yeah.
Motivational books, the library books, because Jack Canfield.
Yeah, the chicken soup series.
Yeah, he's a Silver Method graduate.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I became a Silver Method graduate, and I found that out. I'm going, man. He and I, I could be just like Jack.
I sold a lot of books.
He and I have, we're about the mind. About how do I get inside and unlock myself.
Yeah.
How do I can't fix anyone outside of me. I have to fix me. Then if I can fix me, then I can help to be able to fix, other people. But I love everything by Les Brown.
Oh yeah, sure.
And when I'm doing seminars, Jessie, when I'm standing in front of Nike, they don't get Jessie, they get Les Brown.
They get Les, yeah.
I come in and I emulate Les Brown, but from a karate perspective.
Yeah.
In there. But so you can have mentors that you don't know, you've never met before, but you read about them and you study that person. And if you study that person, if that person is successful, then you can duplicate that success in yourself. Now, if you're studying bad people, you can duplicate that too. So the question becomes, which would you prefer to have? Would you prefer to be successful? And success is by everybody's definition. What is your definition of success?
Yeah.
Do you want to create that success that person has had? So I look at and all these guys are authors that I follow.
Yeah.
They are all authors. They all have their own books, and I get emails from them every day. I subscribe to Les Brown, Jack Canfield, Brian Tracy, your emails.
Brian's got like 6 email lists, 6 different, he's got a bunch of stuff, I think the quote was, well, there's 2 things. You'll become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? And unfortunately, if you don't have 5 people that are where you want to be, you can sure as hell go read about them, right? You can sure as hell go find. They left clues along the way, and usually they leave them in the books they wrote, right? So why not? And I think the other quote was interesting is the number 1 book on more millionaires' bookshelves other than the Bible was Think and Grow Rich, right? That was kind of like the thing there. Okay, 3 more quick, just fun ones. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given? Usually it's in a business context, but in today, who cares?
Well, I would say that don't give up.
Yeah.
I mean, and that started from, I was getting ready to quit karate when I was a green belt. And I had a student I was teaching because I started teaching when I was a green belt, and I was getting ready to quit. I was threw all my stuff in my car because I lost at this tournament that I felt that they didn't like me because of my relationship with my teacher. And I threw everything in my 1976 Monte Carlo driving off. Her name was Emma Mitchell. And she came out to the car and says, so if I failed my purple belt test, what it was. And says, if I failed, then I should quit. I turned and looked at her and I said, no, you shouldn't. I grabbed my stuff and I went back in and I won my first ever trophy. I won first place. That was it.
Yeah, done, right? Yeah.
That was the birthing of Jessie Bowen. And I often think about her. If I had drove off and no one had said don't quit or put me in a situation that I had to be responsible, we wouldn't be having this conversation now.
Yeah.
But I would say that's the best things that have been said for don't quit.
Yeah, it's fantastic. There's a Buddhist principle called turning words, right?
Mm-hmm.
This idea that just one word or one phrase can literally be the beginning of a whole new life or a change, a fundamental change in where we end up, right? That reminds me of, it reminds me of that. It's like a fundamental fork in the road, I guess, or a paradigm shift that we can have that can really make a big difference. Interesting.
And one other one, Chuck Norris, 1978. I'm at his tournament, and I take a picture with him. It's up on my page. I take a photograph with him. I still have the trophies from that tournament, and so I take a photograph with him, and he told me, he said, just continue, no matter how tough it gets, just continue. And then we built a relationship with Mr. Norris. We published the book, but you see what I'm saying? That it's something
40 years later.
Right.
Yeah.
That people that speak into your life and that influence you just by a couple of words. So when you write a book, you never know who will read your book and your words will influence their lives. You never know.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why you do it, is because what your life experience may influence someone else's life.
Yeah, 100% right. There's a chapter in Chuck's book, Zen Solutions to Everyday Problems, or something like that, I think is the title. And he talks about turning words. He talks about a story about a thief who breaks into a monk's room, and the thief is there to steal whatever it was, and the monk wakes up and the monk says, "Are you here for my money or my life?" And it was those words that impacted that thief to turn his life around, because he never thought in a million years he could threaten somebody's life. He was just there for the money, right? And anyway, I 100% agree. Like, you never know. You don't know who's listening, and you don't know how important those words are that you say in jest. I love it. I love it. So in contrast then, what do you think is the worst piece of advice you've ever been given?
Oh, wow. I'm gonna have to go through a few. I'm gonna find a good one. Go open up your martial arts school.
Interesting.
And that was my teacher, because I didn't want to open up a martial arts school. I have a job. I'm single. I'm driving my 76 Monte Carlo. Hey, I'm good. I'm working. I have a great job. I'm teaching for O-Sensei, and I'm now the regional director for the American Martial Arts Alliance Association. So I'm living in a great world. And I go out to dinner with my instructor after a tournament. He used to host tournaments in the mall. And so he says, "Jessie, I want you to have dinner with me." I said, "Yes, sir." So we're sitting at the table. He's counting out all this money, right? He counts out this tall stack of money. Then he has another stack. He shoves the tall stack of money over to me. He says, "Next week, go to Durham and open up your school." I had never seen that much. I don't know, maybe about $4,000 or $5,000. This was back in 1970. No, it was in 1980, and I had never seen that much money in one place at one time.
Yeah.
And I wasn't about to tell him no.
Yeah.
Because, I'm a good student. If he tells me he would say, Jesse, let's go down to this other school. We're going to have a conversation. I get in the car, not knowing better. We'd go down there. So I wasn't about to tell him no. So that was the best advice. Go open up your school. I don't know where I would be in life if I hadn't opened up my martial arts school. I had 3 schools in Durham, and I closed 2 of them down to take the job at Duke University teaching. And I sold my school. We had about 300 students in the school, and that was a real big decision. I still, interact with my black belts, but that was a really big decision. So I would say, go open up your school.
That was on the worst advice topic or the best advice topic?
That's the best advice.
Okay, all right. I want to make sure I didn't have that right.
Yeah, that was the best advice.
Last question: who in your spheres do you think that we should have on the show? This is a new show for us. This is Martial Arts Industry Innovations. This is a bit of a broader view on not just martial arts school operations, although that's what we focus on, but also all the things surrounding it, the things that influence a school operator, the things that might influence students, the things that might help prepare instructors. So we're doing a lot of instructional content. We're doing all sorts of things like that with a somewhat wider view. Who in your spheres do you think might be an interesting guest for us to chat with?
Maggie Messino. Messino. She is out of New York. And she's a part of our organization. I'm getting ready to add her to my board of advisors, but she's a go-getter. I mean, she doesn't play around. She runs a great program. She's involved in the community. She's always in place, and she's a strong black belt. I mean, really, I would say, out of the thousands of martial artists that I know, she just rose to the top of, if you want someone to interview that will give you a great interview, I think she is the person. She has risen from tragedy, a tough life, to now being a very successful martial artist, and another person that martial arts changed her life.
Very cool. Yeah, definitely. I'll ask you to try to make that connection. Then that's fantastic. You had introduced me to Daisy Lang a few years ago, and she was wonderful. If anybody didn't see that issue of the magazine, go back to martialartsworldnews.com and look up the issue with Daisy Lang in the archives. She is a go-getter. Kickboxer, black belt, martial artist. And man, she just takes no prisoners. She has 3 or 4 businesses running, and she's an entrepreneur of the soul. And man, what a great story, for martial arts, especially women, girls and women in the martial arts. Man, she would be a wonderful, role model and mentor at a distance, I guess. What a great story. So, Maggie Messino. Okay, I'll write that down. We'll have to we'll definitely make that happen.
Yeah, I'll send you her contact information. In fact, I'm reaching out to her today or tomorrow. In there, but no, I think she is that upcoming. She's already there. She's a master level instructor, but she's the go-getter type person. So I definitely would recommend her. There's a lot of great martial artists out there that we would recommend. And I think for people to, if I had to say one thing to martial artists, is we're in a new time, and we have to recognize that we are.
Yeah.
And if you are not educating yourself on this new time and this new generation, then you should, because you'll be behind.
Yeah.
And there are 2 things. Some martial artists, I don't want to talk about business. You guys are business guys. I just want to teach and have fun. Well, you can do both. You can teach, hire yourself a good manager, get into a program like yours, and they can learn how to have both worlds.
Yeah, yeah.
I never, in my business, in my martial arts school, I didn't talk business to anyone because I had a team. I wanted my relationship to be on the instructor side.
Yeah.
And my managers, they took care of the business. I made all final decisions, but I try to keep that separate. So if you don't like the business side of talking money, then hire yourself a great manager, put that person into a great training program, and then, run a martial arts business, providing everything you want. I said, I'm just so grateful that I was blessed with a great teacher that had a great vision, and I've inherited his vision, and just looking forward to the future.
Yeah, I 100% agree. What a great way to close. I think what you're describing is exactly right. There is, in my view, absolutely zero incongruence. It's 100% congruent. The skills of being a great instructor that are the skills of operating a great business. They're 100% complementary to each other. They're 100% congruent. And where people feel like it's different, or where they feel like uncomfortable, or the difference, or whatever, I think maybe there's just some understanding there that has to happen. That's all, right? Because there should be no you're selling every minute of your life if you're a martial arts instructor. You may not want to think about it that way. You may not want to call it that, but what is it? The Euclidean principle, right? Two things that are equal to a third thing are therefore equal to each other, right? So if leadership is equal to influence, and selling is equal to influence, then leadership is equal to selling. Right? It's the same thing. We're trying to influence people every day. We're trying to influence people to come back to class because it's the best thing they're ever going to do. We're trying to influence them to train hard because it's really good for them. We're trying to influence them to be a black belt because it's going to be the best decision they ever made in their life. We're trying to influence them to punch stronger so they build stronger muscles and better joint. Right? It's all influence. It's all the same thing. Right. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, sir. I think it's been great for everybody.
Thank you.
If anybody, again, everybody, please take the step. Every professional martial arts instructor, every professional martial arts school operator should be a published author. You should have your book sitting on the shelf. Every student should get it when they. In fact, I recommend 2 books, frankly. I recommend one for marketing purposes that also doubles as a tool for the new student that comes in. And I also recommend a second for people who are getting prepared for the higher level in your program, because the needs of a new student are different than the needs of somebody you're moving to a higher level. So I recommend you have 2, right? One for the front end and one for the back end, right? So and I know it's an overwhelming task. I know it's difficult. I know it seems painful, but these guys really do make it easy. It really is the easy button. And it's something I think that adds so much value to your school and so much value to the bottom line that it's an inconsequential amount of effort compared to the return. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Oh my God, is it, right?
Check out my article in this month's magazine.
Yeah.
It was on publishing, and I have a podcast. You can Google it. It's on Amazon, all your networks. And guess what it's called? It's called Become an Author. Yeah. And I have a book out, which is called Become an Author for Martial Artists. So check those things out. Follow my social media. We have a Facebook page, and that's the title of it, Become an Author.
If you're looking to publish your book, you've come to the right place. Elite Publications has helped numerous clients turn their book projects into bestsellers that are celebrated worldwide. We offer comprehensive packages for all types of book writing and editing needs, including legacy memoirs, biographies, fiction, business, Christian faith-based, children's books, cookbooks, sports books, romance novels, and poetry. Whether you're looking for a basic package or a customized quote, we've got you covered. Get in touch with us today to find the package that best suits your needs. Visit our website for more information.